Okay, welcome everybody to the first of the webinar series. We will be learning Pirkei Avos. It is truly an amazing thing when people take a few minutes in the middle of their workday and dedicate, even if it's only a few minutes, time to limud ha-Torah, to studying Torah. It's a tremendous chus, and it definitely brings bracha and hatzlacha into your business, into your work. We're going to be studying Pirkei Avos, of course, because we are now in the time period between Pesach and Shavuos, where every single Shabbos and Shabbos afternoon we spend time learning and studying Pirkei Avos. Before we actually start learning inside, I just wanted to dedicate a few minutes as an introduction. What exactly is Pirkei Avos all about? So most Masechtas and Shas, most of the Gemaras are discussing halachas, are discussing dinim, various mitzvahs from the Torah. This Masechta is not about mitzvahs, it's not about halachas, it's not about laws. It's about a way of life. It's about ethics. It's about derech eretz, about midos tovos, being a good and upright human being, a good Jew with good midas, and living a moral life. In fact, the Gemara says that Hayman de boi lemevi chasida lekayim milei da'avis. Whoever wants to become a chassid means somebody who goes beyond the letter of the law. Lifnim mishur sadin, he should fulfill what it says in Masechtas Avos. So much so that if we find a Mishnah in Pirkei Avos where it's seemingly obvious what it's saying, it's seemingly just an ordinary law, an ordinary mitzvah that could have said in any other Masechta, the Mefarshim will dwell on this and right away ask, what is this Mishnah doing here? If it's just a law, if it's just a mitzvah, it doesn't belong in Pirkei Avos, it belongs in all the other Masechtas in Shas. Because Pirkei Avos is primarily milsa de chasidusa, it's words for the righteous, it's words for the pious, to go beyond the letter of the law, to live a life of midos tovos and derech eretz. Which doesn't diminish the importance of Pirkei Avos. In fact, it only makes it greater. As is well known, the saying, derech eretz kodma la Torah. Derech eretz actually comes before Torah. It says in the Chumash of Bereshis that Hashem created Adam Harishon, created the first man, lishmoir as derech eitz hachayim, to guard the pathway to the tree of knowledge. And in Gemara it says that it's actually, you're supposed to divide this into two. Lishmoir as derech. Derech refers to derech eretz. Respect, midas tovos, good attributes, becoming a good person. Eitz hachayim refers to Torah, as we say, eitz chayim hi lemachazikim ba, that this is the tree of life. And derech comes before eitz hachayim, because before one can study Torah, before one can learn Torah and live a life of Torah, they have to first have the derech, they first have to have the derech eretz. And that is actually one of the reasons that's brought why we study Pirkei Avos within this time. Because we are all preparing for the holiday of Shavuos, for the Yom Tov of Shavuos, where we all receive the Torah. And in preparation for that, we first need to have derech eretz, kodma la Torah. We first have to learn Pirkei Avos and develop this lifestyle of derech eretz and midas tovos. The real name of the Masechta is actually Mishnas Chasidim, which means the Mishnah for Chasidim, people which are pious, people which want to go beyond the letter of the law. So to speak, the nickname is Masechtas Avos, Pirkei Avos. And there are many reasons given why the name Avos was given to this Masechta, and we'll just name a few of them. The Meiri says, along the same line that we were discussing before, that Pirkei Avos is the Av, is the father for the whole Torah. In order to keep the whole Torah, you need to have Pirkei Avos. In order to fulfill Torah, in order to live a life of Torah, you have to have derech eretz, you have to have what is discussed in Pirkei Avos. So it's like an Av, it's the yisoid, it's the foundation, it's the father for the whole Torah. The BINA Leitim says, because in an interesting reason, because this Masechta is primarily geared towards Avos Ubanim, the older generation educating the younger generation. Because when you educate a child or you educate a younger generation, although obviously a focus has to be on Torah and mitzvahs, but a tremendous emphasis has to be to educate children and to educate the younger generation in the way of Pirkei Avos, in the way of milsa de chasidusa, of derech eretz and midas tovos. The Chassam Sofer explains as follows: that the entire Shas, the entire Gemara, besides for this Masechta, is all born out of Torah Shebiksav. Of course, you know that Torah is divided into two parts. There is the written law and there's the oral law. And the oral law, Torah Shebal Peh, is deriven, is taken out of Torah Shebiksav. And therefore it's like Torah Shebiksav is like the father, and Torah Shebal Peh is like the tulda, is like the child born out of Torah Shebiksav. Since Pirkei Avos doesn't have any specific mitzvah or any specific law, it's actually not based at all on Torah Shebiksav. It's not based at all on the written law. It's divine inspiration given directly to the Chachamim, to the sages of the Mishnah. And therefore, it's called Masechtas Avos because it's actually its own Av, it's its own father. It's not sourced anywhere else. It's not deriven from anywhere else. Rather, it's direct from God to the sages in this Masechta, which again emphasizes the tremendous importance of Pirkei Avos. What we're going to do today is actually not start the actual Pirkei Avos, rather discuss the Mishnah, which the custom is to say it before we start saying Pirkei Avos on Shabbos, the Mishnah of Kol Yisrael Yesh Lehem Chelek La'olam Haba. It's actually not a Mishnah from Pirkei Avos. The Mishnah is from Masechtas Sanhedrin. And the custom is just to say that Mishnah before every single perek of Pirkei Avos. So we'll start off by reading the Mishnah inside, and we'll then discuss it, first of all, the relevance to Pirkei Avos, and also just to discuss the Mishnah itself, what the Mishnah means according to some of the commentaries. So the Mishnah says as follows: Kol Yisrael yesh lehem chelek la'olam haba. Every single Jew has a portion in the world to come. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, va'amech kulem tzadikim, that your nation are all righteous. La'olam yirshu aretz, they will forever inherit the land. Neitzer mata'ai ma'aseh yodai lihispoer, they are the growth of my planting, my handiwork in which I glorify myself. So we see from that pasuk that all the Jewish people are righteous and you all inherit the land, which refers to Olam Haba, as we'll see later. So first of all, what's the connection between this Mishnah and Pirkei Avos? So again, there's many commentaries on this, many reasons for this, and we'll just go through a few of them. The Miskeres Hazav says as follows, that a person can think that in order to merit Olam Haba, which, what is Olam Haba, simply speaking, is a spiritual reward, it's a divine revelation of godliness. In order to merit to that, you would have to keep godly mitzvahs, obviously mitzvahs which are obviously spiritual. For example, Shabbos, keeping kosher, putting on tefillin. All of these mitzvahs are between man and God and are obviously in a revealed way spiritual. And it makes sense that through them you'll merit to the world to come. But to keep mitzvahs bein adam l'chaveira, between man and man, just mitzvahs which makes you a moral human being, not necessarily you would think that through those mitzvahs you merit to Olam Haba. And that's why we start off before Pirkei Avos, we say Kol Yisrael Yesh Lehem Chelek La'olam Haba. We mentioned the concept of Olam Haba to tell you that in order to merit to the eternal reward of Olam Haba, this spiritual reward, it's not enough just to keep the mitzvahs which are in a revealed way holy. Rather, it's also important to keep the mitzvahs which revolve around the relationship between a person and other people, the idea of midas tovis, of derech eretz. The Medrash Shmuel points out along a similar line that it's not just any Mishnah which discusses Olam Haba. The Mishnah says Kol Yisrael yesh lehem chelek Olam Haba, every single Jew, because if you have a look at the whole Pirkei Avos and you see the 6 chapters, it's a pretty lofty goal to start to aim to be such a perfect person. If a person would keep everything it says in Pirkei Avos, they'll be a very, very righteous person. So a person can think, I have to keep everything. And that's what the Mishnah says. Kol Yisrael yesh lehem chelek la'olam haba. Every Jew has a portion in the world to come. Meaning, as long as you try to take on one aspect of it, one Mishnah, one detail, one midah tova, one good attribute, that's enough already to merit to the world to come. What is Olam Haba? What exactly is this Mishnah referring to, that every single Jew has a chelek la'olam haba? Because simply speaking, Olam Haba in this Mishnah refers to the ultimate reward, the ultimate state that the world will reach to. So there is a famous dispute between two Rishonim, the Ramban and the Rambam. The Ramban, and also the Bar Tanura, which is a commentary on the Mishnah, explains that Olam Haba over here is referring to Tchias HaMesim, referring to the revival of the dead. We know that when Mashiach will come after a certain period of time, all the people which have passed on will then come back to life. And that is what this Mishnah is referring to, that Kol Yisrael Yesh Lahem Chelek L'Olam Haba, every single Jew will be revived at that time. But he clarifies, it's not that it will be a purely physical lifestyle. In fact, he says that at that time of Olam Haba, there won't be any eating, any drinking, any sleeping. It will just be a life in a physical body, but totally dedicated to comprehending and understanding godliness and experiencing divine revelation. That's how the Ramban explains this. The Rambam explains this, that the ultimate reward, Olam Haba, which this Mishnah is referring to, is actually a spiritual world, a spiritual reality. And he explains the process as follows, that a person lives his time in this world, and afterwards his soul ascends to Gan Eden as a temporary place. And of course, the revival of the dead is one of the 13 principles of faith, which of course the Rambam believes in. So the soul comes back to the body, lives a long and good life in a messianic era, in a peaceful and perfect world. But then eventually the soul will leave the body again and go to an eternal spiritual place where there the soul will be for eternity without a body. And that's what he holds is the ultimate reward that a Jew can reach to. So that's the dispute over here. What is Olam Haba? Is Olam Haba the ultimate reward, Tchias HaMesim, the revival of the dead? Or is Olam Haba the ultimate reward, which is a purely spiritual reality, and that's the Rambam? There are those that want to bring a proof for the Ramban as follows. If you have a look in the Masechta Sanhedrin at this Mishnah, because we only say 2 lines of this Mishnah, but actually it's a much longer Mishnah. And in the continuation, the Mishnah says that there are some people which actually don't merit to Olam Haba. Who are these people? So one of them is somebody which denies, is kaifer in Tchias HaMesim. So of course the obvious question is, we start off the Mishnah saying, Kol Yisrael Yesh Lahem Chelek L'Olam Haba, every single Jew has a portion in the world to come. And then suddenly we say that there are some people which don't. For example, someone who denies Tchias HaMesim. So is it every single Jew or is it not every single Jew? So the answer is that Olam Haba is given to every single Jew. But some people may choose to block out this revelation. So for example, if you have 10 people in a room and there's light shining in that room, so the light is shining to every single person. However, a person may choose to cover his eyes and thereby not benefit from the light that is shining in the room. Is the light shining to him? Yes, the light is shining to him. But he is blocking out the light by his very own choice, by his very own actions. So similarly over here, Olam Haba is given to every single Jew. However, if I deny Tchias HaMesim, if I deny Olam Haba, if I say that doesn't exist, so I am thereby taking that reality away from myself, and therefore I won't experience it. So therefore it's not a contradiction. Every single Jew has Olam Haba. However, I may choose to cover that up. I may choose to block that revelation. However, that explanation only works if I say that Olam Haba in the Mishnah is referring to Tchias HaMesim. So therefore it makes sense that somebody who denies Tchias HaMesim won't merit to the revelation of Tchias HaMesim, that experience of Tchias HaMesim. However, according to the Rambam, that Olam Haba means some spiritual reality, some eternal world of spirituality, and not Tchias HaMesim. So first of all, it's a contradiction. That it says every single Jew will get Olam Haba, and then it says some Jews won't. And also, what is the connection between someone who denies Tchias HaMesim to not getting Olam Haba? There are many averos, there are many sins that a person can do that he will nevertheless merit to Olam Haba. So why is the one who denies Tchias HaMesim not merit to Olam Haba? And therefore, the Ramban explains that the Mishnah is referring to Olam Haba refers to Tchias HaMesim. Therefore, somebody who denies Tchias HaMesim just automatically, as a direct consequence of that, will not merit that experience. May we merit the experience of Tchias HaMesim very, very soon with the coming of Mashiach. Have a great day.